What's up guys, Chris Allen with Chris Allen Fitness here. It's now been 11 weeks that I've been doing my DIY X3 bar and band system, and I thought I'd give you a review. Basically, to summarize, it's a 6-day-a-week workout. On days 1, 3, and 5, you start out with 2 exercises for the chest, followed by an exercise for the shoulders, the triceps, and then the quads. And on days 2, 4, and 6, you start off with the deadlift, followed by doing a row, then you work your biceps and you work your calves. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the exercise to do, as well as commenting on any changes I made. So exercise number 1 on day 1 is the chest press. All sets, of course, are taken to failure, except for the ones that I notate as being different. I did a variation of the chest press. This is more of an incline press to hit the clavicular head of the pectorals. Here I'm doing flies on the rack. I'm going from a low to a high position here, again to hit the upper pecs. More flies, this time it's a high to low, hits more of the lower pecs. You see I get a good stretch at the beginning, and then I actually try and cross my hands and get my elbows to pretty much connect at the bottom. And here I'm doing more of a straight across the press, or straight across the chest, flying motion until I hit failure. And then I'm going to turn it into a modified chest press to try and hit the fibers just a little bit more. And on to exercise number 3, an overhead press for the shoulders, with a horse in the background. A modification I would do 1 day a week is I would do standing band laterals until I hit failure, and then immediately with little to minimal rest I'll go into alternate arm overhead press with the same bands. And yes, I'm holding one band at the top so I get a big contraction on the shoulder and tricep while it's not moving. For the triceps, I did 3 variations. Variation number 1 is basically like a skull crusher or a nose breaker. It's just a straight arm press where I'm trying to only use the triceps and not the shoulders and the chest. And when I hit failure, I drop it down and do more of a close grip pressing motion to really fatigue the triceps. Fourth exercise with the triceps here, tricep push down, and then I'm extending the arms back behind my waist there. And my third variation on triceps is an overhead tricep extension. And when I hit failure, I'm going to turn around and do then an overhead press for a couple more reps to really hammer the triceps again. Onto the quads, exercise number 1, a banded front squat. This is one of the 2 exercises I do where I do not reach failure. I simply keep adding reps, like 6 to 8 to 10, and then I'll add 5 to 10 pounds and repeat the process. This would be a modified pistol. I don't have the requisite balance needed to do a full pistol, or at least too many of them, so a modified pistol. This is a split squat, trying to keep all the weight on my front leg, and my back foot is really only my big toe touching the ground if at all possible. On to weeks 2, 4, and 6, days 2, 4, and 6, I start off with an elevated deadlift here. You notice the first rep is incredibly slow, 3 or 4 seconds to complete it. on to chin-ups. Not in the actual program, but I felt like there wasn't enough back work with just deadlifts in a row, so chin-ups, and when I hit failure, I then stand up and do a very slow 5 or 6 second negative on the way down. Bent over rows, occasionally I would adjust my hand width, either a more narrow grip or a wider grip. Again, taking the exercise to failure. Variation number 1 for the biceps, your standard bicep curl. I would also do drag curls in addition to the standard bicep curl while standing on the platform. I call this a modified preacher curl on the rack. This way my elbows are out in front of my body during the curling motion. Kind of a decline curl. If it was dumbbells, it would be called an incline dumbbell curl. And having my elbows stay behind my back, going to failure. When I absolutely cannot move the bands anymore, I step back, curl the band up, step forward, and fight the negative as hard as I can. Single-legged calf raises on my stairs. I would take these to failure and then do a couple, 2 or 3 negatives afterwards. And calf raises with the bands on an elevated block. As a bonus exercise, I'm doing glute raises with the band between my knees. My right hip was starting to hurt. I noticed when I do these, it alleviated the pain a bit, and it gets quite a burn in my glutes like I've never experienced before. And by the way, I've seen The Rock doing these, so it's not a girly exercise. Now, in doing my DIY version here, I went with the bar that I had at home, which, as you can see, is a 5-foot long pipe. So to even have, in this case, the Undersun band on here, it's already stretched because the band is 41 inches in a relaxed state. So this works quite well for doing the chest press and also for doing a tricep extension. But for all other exercises, this bar is just too big. But what I ended up eventually doing was going to the other 5-foot bar that I happen to have. And in this one, with the SunPal band on here, I would simply put the loops at approximately 28 or 30 inches in length, and from here I could do all the other exercises that you were supposed to do, because now I've got some slack in the bar, or sorry, now I've got some slack in the bands. So my recommendation for anyone who wants to do a DIY setup like this is not to use a 5-foot long metal bar. Preferably a 3-foot bar should be able to handle all of your needs. Now, as far as progress made in the deadlift, this is what I originally started deadlifting with. And the first time I did the triple elevated deadlift with these handles that I got on Amazon, using 2 SunPal red bands and 1 SunPal orange band, I managed to do 12 reps, and then I failed to get rep number 13. By the end of week 11, this is what I was using for deadlifts. The same handle, but I was using 2 SunPal red bands and then 2 Undersun bands, the extra heavy and the light. So I think that's clearly an improvement in strength, where I went from 2 reds and an orange for 12 to 2 reds, a really big orange, and a small orange for 15. Now, as far as chest press, the very first workout I did, I used the Undersun heavy and the medium and got 22 reps. The last time I did the workout, I used these 2 Undersun bands plus the others, so every single Undersun band, and I got 18 reps. So I think that's also an improvement in strength as well. Now, in regards to changes in body composition, this picture on the left of your screen was taken on July 19th. The picture on the right of your screen was taken on August 9th. There's not much of a difference here. In fact, my body composition stayed about the same. So I didn't suddenly get abs where I didn't have them before. I also measured the right arm, and it did not change at all. It was the same measurement 11 weeks ago as it is today. So if I gained some muscle and lost some fat, it was minuscule on either side. I want to mention a thing or two about the platform that I use here. The platform works great. However, it's not needed on every exercise. You can do curls without it. You can do overhead presses without it. You really only need it for a deadlift and maybe a bent over row. Otherwise, just wearing a good pair of shoes, your feet do not get bent by the band squeezing them in at all. In summary, does it work? Yes, it works. It taxes your muscles, and I believe you can grow some muscle with this, and possibly, if you manipulate your diet correctly, lose some fat. It's not a miraculous thing that gave me 3 times the muscle growth along with a whole lot of fat loss. But as far as a workout that you can get done in under half an hour, possibly under 20 minutes if you schedule it better than me, I think a DIY X3 will work just fine for anyone who doesn't want to go to the gym, because it will certainly help you to maintain your muscles. Thank you.
Ella! Hey, come here. Hey, boy. Let's go out for the camera. Right there. Camera.